I watered it at 7:03 a.m., like always, and this time its third finger tapped the spacebar. Not by accident, not from wind. It moved with purpose, just like Lily's did when she typed her poems late at night, fingers hovering over keys like they were playing piano on air. The cactus had been dead for months before she planted those seeds. She said even broken things can hold life if you give them water and time. Now each spine that emerges is smoother than the last, shaped like bone, curved like her left hand after the accident, the one they couldn't save. Elias doesn't speak. He hasn't since the hospital called. His left hand still bears the scars, the missing index and middle finger, mismatched knuckles that never healed right. But every morning, he waters the plant with the same can, marked for Lily, as if pouring out his silence into something that remembers how to feel. The water doesn't just soak the soil, it travels down through root filaments like nerves, each one a living wire connecting to the plant's meristem, where cells divide and differentiate under hidden signals. What looks like growth is regeneration, biology remembering what was lost and trying to rebuild it molecule by molecule. On day 12, the fourth finger grew, longer, thinner, with a slight bend at the knuckle, just like hers when she held her pencil. Elias watched from his chair, breath held, as it curled toward the keyboard, not randomly, but deliberately, inching closer to the keys he hasn't touched since she died. The part it grows in isn't ceramic, it's clay she molded in art class the week before the crash. Her fingerprints are still pressed into its surface, smoothed by time but never erased. And now, as the cactus stretches upward, those imprints align with each new spine, as if the plant is growing back what was taken, step by step, cell by cell. He found the message at midnight, typed in all lowercase, sent 5 years ago but only delivered today, "Dad, I'm cold." The keyboard had no cables, no Bluetooth, no power. Yet there it was, his daughter's words, on a machine that hadn't been turned on since her funeral. Cellular memory isn't magic, it's epigenetics. Genes can be silenced or reactivated by trauma, stress, even emotional imprinting. The seeds she planted carried not just DNA, but the biological echo of her touch, her fear, her love. And now, in this quiet room, they're unfolding again. Elias doesn't call the doctor. He doesn't post online. He just sits there, watching the fifth finger grow, smooth and jointed, with a faint ridge along its inner curve where her wedding ring once sat. He remembers how she'd tap it absent-mindedly while reading. Now the plant does too. The photo behind the bookshelf, Lily in her yellow raincoat, holding 6 seedlings, is faded but clear. Her smile is wide, unafraid. The cactus beside her, identical to this one. She didn't plant it for luck. She planted it because she knew something science still doesn't understand, that love doesn't end when the body does, it just finds another way to speak. The plant doesn't grow from sunlight. It grows from attention, from ritual, from a man who refuses to forget. Every drop of water is an act of remembrance, each cell in that cactus responding not just to H2O, but to the frequency of his grief, his voice when he talks to it at night, the way he whispers her name like a prayer. And now, as the 6th finger emerges, palm-shaped, with a subtle crease where her thumb would meet, it reaches. Not toward the keyboard, not toward him, but toward the photo. Slowly, deliberately, as if trying to brush away dust from her smiling face. The cactus's 6th finger brushes the glass of the photo frame. No vibration, no movement you could measure, but the dust beneath it shifts. Not from air, from pressure, as if something with intention is cleaning what's left of her smile. Science calls this epiphania, seeing patterns where none exist. But when grief remembers what biology forgets, even plants learn to listen. Elias doesn't blink. He's watched this for weeks, how the spine's angled just like her left hand when she held a pencil, how the knuckle-like swell matches the scar from her childhood fall. No botanist could explain it, but epigenetics can. Dormant genes, triggered by repeated emotional stimuli, sometimes reactivate in unexpected tissues. His grief isn't imaginary, it's a signal. The keyboard's spacebar is slightly raised, worn smooth by years of typing. Now a new groove has formed beside it, a perfect match for the curve of a human thumb pressing down. Elias didn't make that. He hasn't touched the keys since Lily died. But at 3:17 a.m., he woke to the sound of keystrokes, slow, deliberate, like someone learning to type again after losing their hands. The cactus's seventh spine emerges overnight, not a finger this time, but a thumb. It curls inward, resting just above the D key. That same morning, Elias finds his old journal open on the table. The last entry, written by Lily 2 days before her accident, is now underlined in pencil. If you ever feel alone, water the plant. I'll be there. He never knew she wrote that. The watering can's label, for Lily, is faded by rain and time. But inside the spout, dried water droplets have crystallized into shapes, 6 tiny fingers arranged like a hand. Elias never noticed before. Now he sees them every morning. Water doesn't just carry nutrients, it carries memory. In plants, calcium signaling responds to touch, sound, even vibration. His daughter's voice, whispered over this part for 5 years, is now part of its biology. Elias walks to the window. The cactus now has 6 full fingers and a thumb. It doesn't twitch anymore. It holds still, like it's waiting. He places his own mangled left hand beside it. The missing index and middle fingers mirror the gaps in its structure. 2 bones lost to an accident. 6 regrown by love. Science can't explain this, but quantum biology. Maybe. Consciousness isn't just in brains, it's in the patterns we leave behind. The final spine, palm-shaped, ridged with faint fingerprints, grows overnight. Not from the top of the cactus, from the part's cracked rim, where Lily glued her clay sculpture 5 years ago. The part was supposed to be a vase. She said it would hold something alive, even after she was gone. Elias never understood. Now he sees it wasn't for flowers. It was for her. Elias sits in his chair. The room is silent. Then the cactus's palm presses down on the keyboard. Not randomly, not erratically. It types, "Dad, I'm still here." The letters appear one by one, each key depressions matching Lily's old typing rhythm, the way she tapped I with her left pinky, the slight delay before the spacebar. He doesn't cry. He just whispers, "I know." The encrypted message pops up on his phone, an old email, flagged as undelivered since the day of her accident. It was cued to send only when a biometric pattern matched hers. Repeated keyboard pressure, water frequency at 7:03 a.m., and the exact temperature of soil she measured in her science fair project. The cactus didn't grow fingers. It became her interface, her last way home. Lily never believed death was final. She wrote it in her notebook, "Cells don't vanish, they rearrange." Her hands were gone. But the seeds she planted, they held the blueprint. Every root, every spine. It's not magic. It's biology, remembering what love encoded into DNA. That connection doesn't need skin to persist. It just needs someone who still waters it. The cactus doesn't move anymore. It's still, but its shadow, cast by the afternoon sun, isn't a plant's anymore. It's the outline of a hand, fingers spread wide, resting gently on Elias's knee. He doesn't pull away. He lets it stay there. No one else sees it. But he knows this isn't hallucination. This is evolution answering prayer, not with miracles, but with molecules that refuse to forget. And then the final truth. The seeds she planted weren't from this species. They were from a rare desert cactus that only blooms once every 7 years. One bloom, one chance to release its pollen into the wind. She knew she wouldn't live to see it. So she buried them in soil mixed with her hair, her tears, and his fingerprints. Now at dawn, the first bud is forming, shaped like a hand opening.